Good evening, everyone. It's great to have you here tonight. This is the City of Sioux Falls City Council meeting dated Monday, December 6th, 2010. Could I just have a roll call vote, please, or roll call for tonight's City Council?
Council members Entenmann.
Here.
Erpenbach.
Here.
Jameson.
Here.
Litz.
Here.
Rolfing.
Here.
Aguilar.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Thank you. As is often the case, all of the city councilors are here for tonight's meeting. Thanks so much for being here tonight. We do want to start our meeting tonight with an invocation, and tonight we're very blessed to have Pastor Eric McCandless, who is the pastor at Empire Baptist Temple. And what we'd like to do is have everyone stand. We'll receive the blessing, and then we'll follow that up with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Let's have a word of prayer. Our Father, we thank you tonight for freedom. We thank you for the privilege to live in a nation where so much has been paid, so much blood has been shed, to give us nights like tonight where we can give awards and recognize outstanding efforts, and at the same time make decisions to continue and to mark that freedom for the generations to come. Lord, thank you for the leadership you've provided our city for many years. I pray that you'd continue that even tonight in the things that we look at. May each step recognize not only you, but recognize the people that you've put in this fine city. Lord, help us to do our part and help us always to be a thankful people for all that you have done for us. Bless tonight in a special way. Bless those who are here. Bless those who are running this tonight. In Jesus' name we ask it. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good evening, everyone. It's great to have you here tonight. We're going to start tonight's meeting just a little bit differently. As many of you know, we have 1,100 employees that work within city government here in our great city of Sioux Falls. And I'll tell you, I've truly enjoyed my time. It's been limited, only 6 months, but I'll tell you, they're many times working their tail off in the spirit of doing everything they can to support this great city. What we do in city government is once a year we do go out there and try to identify some of the best of city government. And what we're going to do is announce some of those top city employees for all of you here tonight. We're going to start with an award called the V.L. Crusenberry Award. It was established in the memory of former Mayor V.L. Crusenberry, and it recognizes and honors annually a non-management employee who demonstrated exceptional performance, judgment, productivity, loyalty, professional pride, and other noteworthy accomplishments in relation to city employment. This year we had a number of nominees, and they couldn't all win. But I do think that it's important that at least the city of Sioux Falls and all of you know who these fine men and women were. Starting with Melissa Anderson of our Planning and Building Services team, Stephen Gage of our Public Works and Water Purification team, Lori Miles of our Public Works and Water Billing team, Charles Putia, our Public Works and Streets team, Travis Tom of our Fire Rescue team, and Steve Van Hole from our Police Department. The winner representing all of the non-management employees of city government, the winner of the V.L. Crusenberry Award is Melissa Anderson, who is a building services aide. I'd just like to highlight just a couple of things before we bring her up. Melissa is the first person that the public comes in contact with in building services in a role of taking inspection requests for 16 inspectors and serving customers at the front counter. In 2009 alone, be ready for this, she took 30,000 phone calls and greeted customers for the issuance of over 7,000 building permits. Melissa's skill set was instrumental in the successful transition to e-permitting, and Melissa's top priorities are consistency and customer service. And one other thing that is not mentioned here is that not only does Melissa make a big impact while she's working day-to-day in city government, but she's also out there donating her time and her talent and her treasure as a good steward of our city. Sioux Falls, I'd like to introduce you to Melissa Anderson. We also have managers in city government. You can imagine when you've got 1,100 employees, you also need managers, leaders, coaches, people who are going to stimulate people to get to that next level of performance. And that's where the G.N. Fullenkamp Management Excellence Award comes into play. It was established in memory of former Human Resources Manager G.N. Fullenkamp, and it recognizes and honors annually a high performer and leader in the mid-management employee group whose performance drives change, builds commitment, maximizes talent, and focuses on excellence in customer service. There were 3 managers who were nominated this year, and again, they couldn't all win, but I do want to recognize them tonight. Dustin Hansen, who's a manager in our Public Works and Landfill team. Lana Jones, who's with our Health Department, and Dwight McElhaney, who's with our Community Development organization here in city government. I am very, very proud to announce that the winner of this year's G.N. Fullenkamp Award is Dwight McElhaney, who is our Community Development Manager. Just a couple of highlights of Dwight's nomination includes he's been employed by our great city for well over 20 years, 16 of them in community development. Dwight's responsibilities include budget, program reviews, and program oversight of many federally funded programs. He's involved in the diverse aspects of the core areas of our community through his involvement in many neighborhood and nonprofit organizations. Dwight is known for his excellent customer service, treating all citizens with compassion, respect, and a committed attitude of genuine concern. And I will tell you, I've only been in government a short period of time, but I will reiterate all of this and so much more. And this is a man that is compassionate about his job. He's compassionate about his city, and he's compassionate about rebuilding some of the areas of town that need help. City of Sioux Falls, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Dwight McElhaney. Congrats, Dwight. We also have an Employee of the Year in the area of safety, and I'd like to talk a little bit about that. It recognizes and honors annually an employee who has made a significant and measurable contribution towards achieving the city's safety objectives. This person is Brandy Wrench. She's an environmental technician, goes above and beyond her normal job duties to enhance safe operations within the landfill division. Brandy chairs the landfill's employee-driven safety committee. She prepares agendas, identifies safety issues, and leads meeting discussions, sends out action notices to staff, and coordinates additional safety-related training. Brandy shares extensive safety knowledge she has gained through a military career with landfill employees. The city is fortunate to have someone with Brandy's experience and background as a resource to help achieve safety-related goals. Brandy is deserving of the Employee of the Year for safety. She's been an employee with the Public Works Department since May of 1996. She's a member of the 361st Army Reserve Training Support Battalion. Brandy's married to Russ Wrench, and she has 2 sons, along with working for our great city. 1 daughter, 3 stepdaughters, and 1 granddaughter. Oh, my. I would like to, Sioux Falls, I'd like to introduce you to our winner of the Employee of the Year for Safety. Her name is Brandy Wrench. Thank you all for being here tonight and celebrating with us. We do appreciate it, and congratulations to all the winners and all of their families who are here as well. Thank you. We will continue on with our City Council meeting tonight with an approval of the consent agenda. If I could have a motion, please.
So moved, Aguilar.
Second, Anderson.
It's been a motion by Councilor Aguilar, seconded by Councilor Anderson, Jr. to approve tonight's consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Entenmann,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Could I have a motion to approve tonight's regular agenda, please?
So moved, Brown. Second, Entenmann.
It's been a motion by Councilor Brown, seconded by Councilor Entenmann to approve tonight's regular agenda. Any further discussion or any discussion at all? Hearing none, if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Entenmann.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. That is also passed 8-0. Again, I'd like to welcome you to tonight's meeting. What we'd like to do is offer you an opportunity to speak to your city council. We welcome any of you to come up and share your thoughts, your opinions with the city council. We just want to remind you, it's not a Q&A session or a question and answer session, but it is certainly an opportunity for us to listen and learn from you. If you would like to come up to the podium now, we just would ask you to state your name, please. Now, if there's something that you want to speak about that's on the agenda later on, if you just save those thoughts for later. Is there anyone who would like to speak to your city council? Welcome, Mr. Stenga.
How are we doing today?
We're doing great.
Tim Stanga.
Thank you.
One thing that I have learned coming to these meetings is you got to come here at 4 o'clock because you do learn a little bit more about what's going on. And I know one thing, Mike Cooper, you do excellent on when you explain things, because it sure helps when you know what's going on. There are a few questions that people have. One is when we plan on moving the switch yard with the railroad. A lot of people have questions on who's going to own that property after the switch yard is going to be moved out to a different location. That's something that a lot of people would like to know. I don't know if it's the railroad that's going to still own it or if it's going to be in the city of Sioux Falls. Another one is a lot of people wonder that all of a sudden they start hearing about that the parking lot downtown, the parking ramp that goes over the river, all of a sudden that's going to be tore down. A lot of people are wondering, is it in that bad a shape that it's going to fall down next month or within 6 months or a year? And are we sort of a little bit ahead of maybe other projects that could be done in town versus worrying about that one right away? A lot of people are that bring up that issue. A couple other people brought up on the entertainment center. A lot of people state that entertainment centers are downtown in a lot of the bigger cities. But they realize that in a bigger city that they either have a bypass or they have a major road, either a highway or freeway that goes through the city. So you can get off from the interstate or the freeway to get to the Quest Center, Tyson Center, or whatnot. Sioux Falls is built, we're built around an interstate, or an interstate is built around Sioux Falls. We don't have an interstate that goes through Sioux Falls. Just a lot of people want to clarify that. There's things that have to be done in Sioux Falls, and I just tell people that if they can come here at 4 o'clock on Mondays, that they would learn a lot. And I appreciate you guys letting me come, and thanks.
Mr. Danga, thank you, and thanks for attending these meetings. We do appreciate it. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak to your city council? Seeing none, we'll move on with the unfinished business portion of our agenda.
Okay, item 6 is a new 2011 retail wine license for Shahi Palace Incorporated, Shahi Palace, to be operated at 2527 South Shirley Avenue, effective January 1st, 2011. Full-service restaurant, conditional use permit not required, pending final inspection per building services. Item 7 is a new 2010-2011 retail malt beverage license for Shahi Palace Incorporated, Shahi Palace, to be operated at 2527 South Shirley Avenue. Full-service restaurant, conditional use permit not required. Item 8 is the transfer of a 2010-2011 retail malt beverage license from LBA Limited Classic Casino, 1915 West 12th Street, to MG Oil Company, Happy Jack, Sioux Falls, to be operated at 1915 West 12th Street, including video lottery terminals. Conditional use permit not required. This is an existing license which predates the ordinance. Item 9 is the transfer of a 2010-11 package malt beverage license from Speedway Super America LLC, Super America number 4298, 2911 West 41st Street, to Northern Tier Retail LLC, Super America number 4298, to be operated at 2911 West 41st Street. Item 10 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Philanthropy Promotions Incorporated, J&L Harley Davidson, for Hot Harley Nights on July 9th, 2011, on Falls Park West, park area north of the Sioux Falls Park and Recreation Office, leading to Falls Park along Phillips Avenue, with a north boundary of Falls Park Drive, south boundary to 8th Street, east boundary is to the chain link fence on the east side of the park. The street will be closed on 6th Street from Dakota to Weber Avenues, and the west boundary of Dakota Avenue. And item 11 is various retail liquor, package liquor, and retail wine license renewals for 2011 to be operated at various locations in the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, identified as Exhibit B. Mayor Hampton.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I
Councilor
would
Anthony.
ask that we consider 6 through 9 and 11 and vote on 10 separately. I need to recluse myself from number 10, item 10.
Very good, thank you. Thank you. Lori.
All right, Lori Hugstead with the City Attorney's Office here for items 6 through 11. Just to note, item 11 is our second set of renewals for the retail liquor, packaged liquor, and retail wine. There are about 160 renewals on this list, but there are none that I need to bring to your attention, either for inspections or underage sales. I will be bringing another group to you, the last group, and a much smaller group on December 20th in 2 weeks. Any questions I can certainly answer.
Lori, thank you. Before we go to questions, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to any of these items? Mr. Weber? Welcome. If you'd just state your name, please.
My name is Mark Weber. I have a long-standing interest in alcohol licenses and especially video lottery that goes along with that, but that's not part of what's going on here tonight. I think most of you city council people have received Excel spreadsheet that I made up that basically is with item number 8 of MG Oil Company. This is our first entrance into the Sioux Falls market asking for a license. They are quite a substantial business in the Rapid City area, holding 23 retail on-sale malt beverage licenses with video lottery. They are also owners of 5 of 9 corner pantries in Rapid City, which are package off-sale malt beverage licenses. And basically what I did is I looked at the Rapid City City Council meeting all of 2010 and found the renewal list for MG Oil, most of them on June 7th, 2010, and came up with this list. And I merged it with the Rapid City Police Department that does alcohol compliance checks. All this information is online for 2010, 2009, and 2008. And the list that I have with this are all the dates of the police reports And in all cases, MG Oil passed with our retail on-off-sale malt beverage licenses with video lottery. But in 3 cases, according to the Rapid City Police Department records, they failed in their packaged malt beverage licenses of Corner Pantry. I just want to bring this information up to the City Council, more or less as an educational thing. I'm not here either for or against the applicant, but this particular firm is a very large player in West River, South Dakota.
Mr. Weber, thank you very much for taking the time to do that. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this item in the audience? Please, welcome, sir.
I'm Troy Obremt. I work for Music Service here in town. We are a company that MG Oil owns. They bought us in July. They are a big player. They do own a lot of locations. They actually own about 45 different locations that sell alcoholic beverages in one form or another. And to Troy Erickson's best knowledge, he said they've probably had 4 or 5 over the years. But for 45 locations in a number of years, we feel that that's pretty reasonable. MG does, when they hire anybody, they do drug testing, they do TAMS training, and they do a background check on every employee that they hire. They do have a person that does the TAMS training in every location. When they bought this location here, she came down and has been working on that. So they do take that all very seriously. If somebody does sell to a minor, they are fired. One shot, you're done. There's no second chance. They take it very serious, and they definitely don't plan on having any underage sales.
Thanks, Troy. Anyone else? Lori, would you mind coming up again? City Council, any questions for Lori or for anybody else? Hearing none, could I have a motion, please? And just keeping in mind Councilor Entenmann's request.
I would move.
Approved, let's. Second Anderson.
There's been a motion by Councilor Litz, seconded by Councilor Anderson, Jr., and that would be to approve items 1 through...
Items 6 through 11,
6 through 11.
excluding item 10, and then we'll vote on, then we'll vote on item 10.
Thank you very
So
much.
this is 6 through 11, excluding item 10. Councilmember Entenmann?
Yes.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison? Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0.
And now we're voting on making a vote on item 10 only. So I need a,
Move approval, Erpenbach. Second, Aguilar.
There's been a motion by Councilor Erpenbach, seconded by Councilor Aguilar, to approve item number 10. Any discussion? If I can have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Entenmann? Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
That is unanimously passed 7-0. Item number 12.
Item number 12 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at 412 East 12th Street from the C3 Central Business District to Sub-Area E of the Beetle Greenway Plan Development District, petition number 2010-0902, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Good evening, Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. This is a petition by Ronnie Companies pertaining to the property known as River Terrace West Apartments, which is on the east side of the downtown area near South 3rd Avenue and East 12th Street. Based on advice from the City Attorney's Office, we would like to ask the City Council to defer the second reading to the January 3rd, 2011 council meeting.
Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? City Council, would anyone like to make a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I had a question for Mike. Mike, has Mr. Point or Mr. Ronning objected to us deferring this?
They've been notified. I have not heard of any objection.
Very good. Thank you, Mike.
Councilor Anderson, Jr.
I guess for deferring this after it's gone through Planning Commission and everything, what is our hope for an end result on this before January meeting, I guess, is what I'm sort of looking at.
I'll defer to the attorney's wisdom and advice on this one.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
Thank you. Councilor Anderson, we are hoping to obtain a resolution. It's a pending litigation matter, so we're hoping to gain some type of resolution of the matter prior to the January 3rd meeting.
Hearing no other discussion, could I have a motion, please?
So moved, Entenmann.
Second, Rolfing.
There's been a motion by Councilor Entenmann, seconded by Councilor Rolfing, to defer item number 12 to January 3rd, 2011. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Council members Entenmann,
Yes.
Erpenbach,
Yes.
Jamison,
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item number 13.
Item number 13 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by defining the use and purpose of Section 3917 to include zoo maintenance and operational expenses.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Brown.
this passed unanimously out of the Fiscal Committee. It simply makes the zoo a visitor destination eligible for entertainment tax funding in future budgets should the council in its discretion choose to exercise that option. The Convention Center and the Washington Pavilion currently qualify for funds out of this. In fact, the entertainment tax funds are used to pay for what I'll call the mortgage on those facilities. That goes away in 2014, so we do expect that there'd be money available there should the council so choose to fund the zoo out of it. You might ask why. Well, the zoo is similar to a destination like the Washington Pavilion or maybe even the Convention Center. It's bringing in 235,000 visitors a year. That's twice as many as 2005, and it's bringing them in from a 3-hour radius. The zoo's annual economic impact is $20 million, which also surpasses those other facilities. Second reading would be next week.
This is a first reading, people of Sioux Falls, so we don't open it up for public comment at this one. We'll do that at the second reading. City Council, I did want to let you know that I did ask the city department heads to come here tonight. If you would want to hear from them, you can. Otherwise, we can wait until the second reading. But I did want to leave that option up to you, good folks. Is there either a motion or questions, or would you like to hear from city departments? I turn it up to you. Yes.
I do have a question on this, and I've talked to Councilor Brown about it too, and it seems to me this year during the appropriation, during the budget hearings and stuff, I think we had suggested that it was proposed by the mayor's office that we reduce the operating budget for the zoo, and we, in our intelligence, I guess, voted that we weren't going to reduce it, and we re-implemented the funding. It is, there is no doubt about it that the zoo is a great place for the city of Sioux Falls, and it's one of those iconic places that I think, I know myself, I'm always, as long as I'm here, I'm going to ensure that we have the funding for it. I just question whether or not at this point in time, we should be going after this. And the only reason I bring this up is there's a number of things dealing with the arena in the interim here, and a couple of other facilities that do need some work on them, specifically the arena scoreboard as a prime example. It's an embarrassment, it's an expensive item, and it's something that I believe should be paid for with a user tax or whatever you might call it, such as the entertainment tax. So I guess I just have some questions in my own mind whether or not it's while I can appreciate it, I just question whether or not it's something that I'm going to ultimately be able to vote for at this time.
I will move to set the date of hearing.
Second.
Point of order, could we wait until all the first readings are read and then do the motion for setting the date of hearing?
Oh, sure.
If that's okay. Item number 14.
Item 14 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by amending Section 34.5-13, Capital Program.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Brown.
this also passed unanimously out of the Fiscal Committee. What this does is, there were more pooled projects in the budget this year than we've seen in the past year. What that means for the public is that instead of prioritizing the projects one by one and funding them in that method, it creates, for lack of a better term, a bag of money that can be appropriated by the department heads. The council, the Fiscal Committee, wanted to revisit that and look at prioritizing that project. I think today, through the Fiscal Committee, we may have some good compromises, so you probably should expect that there may be an amendment to this during the second reading that would still prioritize, but they'd be a pooled project, but it would at least give us a sense from, for example, in Public Works, which projects, what order they would be done, but it would provide some flexibility to still be efficient.
Councilor Brown, thank you. Great summary. I did ask David Feifley and Mark Cotter also to be here tonight in case you folks would have any questions prior to the second reading. They are available for you. If not, any further discussion on item 14? Item 15.
Item 15 is the first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, conveying Lot 1, except Lot H2 and Lots 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10, and vacated alley in Block 7 of Bennett's First Addition to Sioux Falls, Minnehaha County, South Dakota, along with authorizing repayment of a city loan.
Again, Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services, along with Erica Beck, representing Community Development on this item. This has been a project that has been very long in coming forward to tonight to consider this, even though it's just first reading. I have yet one more PowerPoint to go through with you today, so this will be a shorter one than the first one. But this is a property that has been identified as part of the Pettigrew Heights neighborhood, and it's located on the south side of 11th Street between Summit and Duluth Avenues, between Duluth and Spring Avenue, I'm sorry. And we have, over the years, looked at acquiring this property. This is a photo of the original site that included 10 properties that were in various stages of disrepair and were rental units. Through at that time we called it the Mayor's Neighborhood Conservation Program. This is one area that we targeted that we needed to take drastic measures because of the problems, not only with the condition of the rental units, but with the number of police calls, other disturbances that this was creating within the neighborhood. So this shows you back in 2008 some of the exterior site conditions of the properties that we looked at. This is the inside of the properties. Many of them were vacant. Most of them should have been vacant. And so after looking at this opportunity, the decision was made that we should acquire this and make it available for redevelopment. And this exhibit shows what's being proposed to go on this property. The developer will be St. Joseph Catholic Housing, and the property will be developed into a 4-story, 69-unit apartment building for senior housing. The first floor will include area for community space as well as some limited commercial uses. And as we went through a request for proposal on this property, and based on that proposal, the property is being conveyed for $450,000. And this slide shows you the sources and uses of funds that involve this project. The land was originally purchased through a drawdown from a Citibank line of credit that we had. The total amount of that was about $1,034,000. The property was acquired based on an appraisal for $903,000. There was another $2,259 of closing costs. The appraisal was $2,500. We did an environmental study because of the concern about asbestos and lead-based paint. We also had to do securing of structures prior to demolition, and then we had a remediation of asbestos. We incurred legal fees and we also had to pay interest on that drawdown over the 2-year period between the time that the property was acquired and where we are at today. So the total payback to the city line of credit is just under $1.17 million. And the source of that payback will be through the transfer of the property to St. Joseph Catholic Housing of $450,000. We received a city bank grant and city foundation grant totaling $150,000. We did save on demolition costs by using in-kind city services. And we are also utilizing an urban revitalization fund, which is part of our city budget. So what we were asking the city council to do with this item is to, first of all, transfer the property for $450,000 and also allow us to use the urban revitalization fund to finish out the payment of the city bank line of credit. This is, as I said, a very drastic measure that we undertook. We knew that we were not going to make money, and we were anticipating that we would lose money because of the cost of doing this redevelopment project. But we believe that there's a number of long-term neighborhood benefits. First of all, we removed 10 units that were blighted condition, housing units. We've seen a significant decrease in the number of code enforcement complaints relative to this property. We've had a drastic reduction in police calls since we started this project about 2 years ago. And we know that we're going to increase the number of units that are affordable within this neighborhood from the original 27 rental units to now a total of 69 brand-new affordable housing units. We know that there will be neighborhood gathering space provided through this project, and through the 2010 Housing Needs Assessment, one of the priorities is that we need to look at providing additional housing for the elderly. And then we also have seen already, through the acquisition and clearance of this property redevelopment, the Volunteers of America have completed a project to the west of this. The Sioux Falls Housing Office is building or has constructed another rental housing project. We're starting to see a lot more private investment in improvements, and we anticipate that there'll be even more opportunities for private investment near this area in the future. So again, I don't anticipate that we'll be doing something like this in the near future, but we appreciate the council's support so that we can complete this important project as part of our Pettigrew Heights Neighborhood Initiative.
Councilor Litz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mike, I had 3 questions, I guess. Did I hear you say that retail, limited retail was scheduled for underneath on the 11th
Yes.
Street side again? No? Okay,
Yes.
good, because for a while, we're talking about having it all residential, and that's obviously changed back. Is that correct?
Right.
Good, I'm delighted to hear that. Have we ever had an outside appraisal done on the land value as it sits today? Not counting purchase cost, not counting raising, but just what that land is worth today. And I know it's hard to do, there's no comparables, but
We have not had a current appraisal, but we did have an appraisal done prior to the request for proposals that went out.
for just the property as it would
Yes.
be all cleared. And
Right.
what was that number, Mike?
It was right around the purchase price,
Okay.
the $450,000.
Okay, and then the city urban revitalization fund totaling the $500,000 that's going in there, is that's federal funds, is that
That's
correct?
local funds.
Okay, now, has that money been in through our revitalization system and been recouped so that we can spend that money on this, or is that
This is
one of the-
actually sales tax money that's in our in our budget.
It's sales tax money?
Yes.
Very good, thank you, Mike.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Not a question, Mike, but just a couple of comments. First of all, none of this has gone as quickly as we had hoped it would, but we've had some challenges in the economy and the development community. But I want to congratulate you, Mike, and Erica, and your teams, because although this is costing us some money today, it's been costing us every day, not only in dollars and cents, but in the quality of life in Sioux Falls and the impressions of the community. So thank you for moving it forward.
If there's no further discussion, could I get a motion to have a second reading on items 13, 14, and 15 for Monday, December 13th.
So moved, Litz. Second, Anderson.
There's been a motion by Councilor Litz, seconded by Councilor Anderson Jr., to have our second reading on these three items on December 13th, 2010. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Council members Entenmann,
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. That is passed 8-0. Item 16.
Item 16 is a resolution to amend and reinstate Resolution 7309 to adopt as a goal that the city maintain an 11% monthly unrestricted cash balance and a 25% general fund reserve balance at year end, that future budgets of the city balance without the use of unobligated reserve balances, establishing a council policy regarding the use of projected revenue from fee or tax increases in any budget adopted by the council, and establishing a council policy on the use of enterprise funds.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Brown.
This is a unanimous recommendation from the Fiscal Committee. What it does is restores the original language as proposed by Finance and Legal when we adopted this balanced budget resolution. This language requires a vote of the council to spend down the reserves, our rainy day fund. Why? Simply put, this is a very important fund to the city council and to the community to show confidence in that this community has that rainy day fund and it's available, and provides the checks and balances to make sure that it isn't spent inappropriately. Just by way of example, we were discussing this earlier, and Councilor Rolfing had an example about in his family, if he and his wife were considering purchasing a car, they knew they had to do it, they were saving for it, they together would need to decide when that money is spent, and that's what this would do. It restores the language so the council and the administration can work together in deciding when to tap that rainy day budget. It's a budget tool that we, as the council, have already used during the budgeting process this last season. We used it to restore funding to the zoo, as Councilor Entenmann talked about earlier, to restore pool hours, housing for children that are in police custody at Children's Inn. Those are some of the items that we took money from that reserve fund to do it. Now, this mayor, to his credit, did not do this, but let's say, for example, when a future mayor proposes a budget and on the day it's presented to the council, proposes to spend that all the way down to that 25% minimum operational reserves. The council would have no simple way of restoring some of its priorities in the budgeting process without this language. And we might have to violate our own policy if those priorities that we saw them as that important. So that's what this does. It's about transparency. It's about a security check on a fund that is very important to this community. Just by way of information, this fund currently has about $40 million, which is about 36% of the operational budget. As I said earlier, it requires a 25% in there.
Any further discussion? Any questions? Councilor Lewis.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I guess I'm interested in the administration's take on this, so, well, let's hear it.
Councilor Brown, do you have any recommendations? Do you want us to, how would you like us to proceed, Councilor Brown?
I don't have any recommendation.
You know, I'm not a member of that committee, if I might step in, but
Thank
I did
you.
attend the meeting, and I did hear the administration's version of it, and it is recorded as a public record. I would move approval on item 16.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on the item? Yes.
I was at the meeting too, and earlier today. It is somewhat confusing trying to understand it. I did not attend any of the previous committee meetings while it was being discussed. I do not serve on that committee. It's just really confusing, and I would like to think that we might possibly be able to have a little bit better understanding of this with interaction with the administration and possibly come forward with it. And I'm not saying that if we do something different that we, and I know the motion's on the floor, that we extend this out for an extended period of time. I would think that within the next 30 days, that we would be able to better define what it is we're trying to accomplish with this. It was somewhat confusing, and I guess I'm just not prepared to vote on it at this time.
Councilor Litz.
That's how I kind of feel too, and I'm not necessarily against it. I mean, I think these are some pretty good points that are being made, but, it might be a matter of public record, but I don't hang on every word that's being said down here. I have a lot of other things to do. I depend on the committee to say that, I just don't know everything about it. So I will, if we're going to vote on this right now, I'm going to either abstain or not vote to do it. I'd like some more input, and I realize you guys are sitting there going, well, we had the meeting on it, but it wasn't there.
Councilor Urbanbach.
Again, I'm not on the committee, but one way that it was explained to me is that if the administration's budget, and it didn't happen this year, but if the administration's budget was set with the idea that we would have an increase in revenue of 6%, we're going to guess that we're going to raise 6% more this next year than we did this year. And if that doesn't happen, we get down to the end of the year, the administration, without this resolution, the administration can go ahead and spend that 6% without ever talking to council about it. So that even though, we talked very specifically about the idea that council does approve the spending, but without this resolution, the mayor or the administration can go in and spend that money at the end of the year because they've been given the appropriation, they've been given the spending authority, and this resolution holds that back and asks them to come back just one more time. Let's just talk about it. We overestimated by 6%, and now we've got to dip 6%. It just brings that conversation back to this table one more time. That's my interpretation of what that conversation was about.
Councilor Anthony.
The question I asked, though, is that did happen this year, where they projected more income coming into the city than what happened, and then in the January, February timeline, then the mayor said, listen, they were guarded against that, knowing the way things were, and they made the necessary budget. Although they were tough, there was a 15% basically holdback that they had to do, and there had to be some cuts that were made. I don't agree with the way the budget was projected on an increase in a down economy. I would not have went along with that myself at that point in time. But it seems to me there was a safeguard kind of in the respect that they did monitor that, and they did have the wherewithal to do that. Now, I'm not saying I'm against this. To me, it was just confusing. I don't know if the verbiage or the words as they were stated made much sense to me at the time that we were having the discussion earlier. I just thought that maybe there might be a way of making it a little easier to read and easier to understand. I'm not saying that I'm against it. I'm just against this words, and I would suggest that we, make sure that we deal with this within the next 30 days, like I said before, but maybe clean it up so that we can understand it.
Councilor Braun.
Just for clarification, this was language that was proposed by Finance and Legal in 2007, and those of us that were here at that time voted for it then, too. So it is language that was there and was tested.
I was asked by Councilor Litz the administration's thoughts on this. Wasn't planning on doing that
I would
publicly
have
tonight.
a point of order on this, Mayor. If you're going to talk about this, you need to relinquish the chair position to the.
Mr. Feifley.
Councilor Rolfing, by city ordinance, the mayor is allowed to engage in the debate without relinquishing the gavel.
Oh, okay.
By Robert's Rules of Order, he would, if we were only following that, he would be required to relinquish the gavel, but specifically in city ordinance, it provides that the mayor can engage in the debate without relinquishing the chair.
That's interesting. I thought Robert's Rule of Order is what we followed here.
It is, Councilor, except to the extent it may conflict with ordinance. I could pull that ordinance up.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
But I just wanted to make sure we were following the right, I don't want to hold you back. I want to hear what you're saying. Just want to make sure we're following the right procedure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ruffing. I appreciate it. And again, Councilor Litz offered me an opportunity to speak, and I really appreciate that. I think that transparency and clarity is all of our goal. As I've been informed about this particular topic over the last couple of weeks, one thing that I found is that the lack of clarity couldn't be any worse than what it is today, not only amongst city councilors, but also the lack of clarity amongst the department heads and, yes, your mayor. I have done my best to try to understand this. I've done my best to try to understand the intent, try to understand the goals, how we would execute it, trying to find that common ground, trying to find that balance, so that ultimately, yes, this city council and this mayor and the administration can work together to ultimately do what it is that I think they want to accomplish. But I will tell you, folks, that the harder that I think we've even tried to reach out to the city council to ask for more clarity or more definition or even more time, that's not been provided. And I think we even, folks, your city council, the vast majority of them have been here since 4 o'clock today, and they should be commended for that, along with the mayor, along with the department heads. And we spent some of that time prior to the meeting trying to find more clarity, and yes, asking for more time. Because I think the last thing that we want to do as a city, and I think the last thing that we want to do as a city council, is to provide legislation that is not only unclear to some of the city councilors, but, God forbid, unclear to the mayor and to the department heads who have been asked to execute it. And that's what's happened here. And I am concerned that even with that discussion that we had just an hour and a half ago, that now instead of deferring this, as I thought what would happen, just the opposite has occurred. It is, let's get it done, and let's get it done now. Again, I would highly recommend that we just allow this city council and this mayor and these department heads to work together to figure this out, and then let's bring it forth, whether it's 2 weeks or 30 days or 45 days, whatever it would be. Let's do that. You have my word that we're not going to spend any of those reserve funds before now and year end. But again, I do thank you, Councilor Litz, for allowing me the opportunity, and I do urge you to defer this until we can all get clarity on this particular topic, because it's a critical one. City Council, yes, Councilor Aguilar.
I guess that my question is, if this was passed back in 2007, and it was passed by some of the sitting council members, and that the directors, many of the staff that put this together were here at that time, and many of your directors have been here since 2007, I guess I have a hard time understanding how they don't understand it. You're new, I understand that, but the rest of the directors and many of the staff that were involved in putting this together were here back in 2007.
And Councilor, are you directing that to me?
Well, whoever.
To your point, I do concur. I wasn't here in 2007, and I can't speak what happened in 2007. All I can do is tell you it's been very, very clear over the last at least week, if not 2 weeks, that there is no clarity. There is no understanding. And in fact, it's been changing. It even changed about an hour and a half ago. And in terms of the understanding, in terms of what's the rationale behind this. And that concerns me, and it should concern all of Sioux Falls. Because I'll tell you, Councilor Aguilar, if there's people even on your own body that don't understand what the intent was, and you've got a mayor that doesn't understand it, and you've got department heads who have reached out time and time again over the last 2 weeks saying, we don't understand it, but yet we're still moving forward. I tell you, I'd be very concerned if I were a citizen in Sioux Falls. Councilor Brown.
Nothing has changed. We've visited about this issue for 3.5 months. It's very simple. If the administration intends to spend down reserves, come to a vote of the council. It's that simple.
Any further discussion on this particular topic? Yes, Councilor Jameson.
Maybe, I guess I'm just challenging, in an effort of reaching out a little bit, Councilor Litz and Entenmann, you guys, have you gained any new knowledge here with the explanations that were just given? And
Well, actually, it's even more confusing, to tell you the truth. And the reason I say that is the explanation about, the city directors being involved with this process. And I don't know what the process was before or how it was brought up. And then them now, saying that, they're confused. And I listened to Tom's presentation, and he was somewhat confused on this thing, too. And I'm saying we don't, like I said, I'm saying we need to address the issue. I believe it's something warranted. I just don't know that there's clarity in it right now. That's all I'm saying. I want to address it. I agree with what we're trying to accomplish here. But I don't know that if there's a little bit of a state of confusion at this point in time, that it's the right thing to do is to go forward with it right now.
Yes.
I guess I'd just like to also state that thank you, Mr. Mayor, that just because the director was here doesn't mean they were involved with the formulation of this either. It could have been a council action that they had to live with, and I don't know that for a fact.
Address that.
Councilor Brown.
The proposal actually came from Finance and Legal in 2007, and it was brought to the Fiscal Committee.
Well,
Mr. Feifley.
Councilor Brown, it's my understanding that this was drafted at the request of the Fiscal Committee, and I know Gene Rowenhorst, who was the Finance Director, and Gary Caldwell, who was then the City Attorney, attempted to meet the demands of the Fiscal Committee. I respectfully agree that it's can be characterized as it came from our legal department or the finance department, but they were certainly in a spirit of cooperation attempting to address the concerns of the Fiscal Committee at that time in 2007.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
I was there. I was part of the Fiscal Committee, and Gene Rowenhorst said his urging is why we did this.
Councilor Brown, you were also here, and just a question, you were also here a couple of years later when it was changed. Any idea why that occurred?
It was at the request of the administration. The CPAs didn't think it was necessary that were part of the council at that time, but did oblige and allow that change to happen.
And just some clarity on it, what was the intent of the change a couple of years later?
There was concern by the administration that the reserves would continue to be built, and not be able to be spent down at any point, and that is not the intent of it. And any time they would need to be spent down just simply requires the vote that I've talked about.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. And maybe just for clarification, Councilor Aguilar, you had mentioned that the intent of this legislation or of this policy is to gain City Council's concurrence before there's ever a drawdown on the reserves. With that in mind, where in the language does it state that specifically? And how would the people of Sioux Falls understand that if they were to read it?
They'd have to read the entire resolution in order to get that. I mean, the synopsis.
And where in there?
I don't have it. I just brought it down. I don't have it in front of me.
And again, I apologize for putting you on the spot. Just again, trying to find how would a layman, including a new mayor who's fairly educated, when I read that, I couldn't see it within that document, within that legislation. So I think that's what the people of Sioux Falls would also want to try to understand is if that is indeed the intent, where within the language does it state that?
Yeah, I'll defer. I don't have it before me.
Just respectfully, Deborah Owen, City Council staff. When this was drafted, it was drafted at the hand of the City Attorney at the time, who is now staff with the City Attorney's office. And the City Attorney, Gary Caldwell, who drafted it was present at our Thursday meeting and did explain a lot of that to the directors and to the mayor at that time, and explained how that process worked. It was at the request of the finance department with Gene Rowenhorst and others when this resolution was revised, to allow them to go in and bring that as part of your budget, your proposed mayoral budget, which I think is why it was brought. But Gary Caldwell did speak to that. I certainly wish he would have been here tonight, as he is the person who drafted that resolution on behalf for the council, and with his expertise and his legal advice was present in that document.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilor Litz.
See, part of my confusion stems from if we already have a city ordinance in effect that says we have to maintain a 25% budget, and a few years ago, when it was at the peak, I think we were at 34%. And it was deemed by the Mayor Munson's administration that perhaps it is prudent to spend some of this down, that the reserves were getting too big. Is the reserves that can be spent down new tax money that's coming in that would be between, or anything that's over the 25% that's currently required by ordinance? Is that what we're talking about here?
I can attempt to answer that.
Councilor Brown.
We continue to add to that reserve, yes, from tax money, but we try to build that up for years when, for example, we put a fire department online and we have to then fund 15 new positions all at once. So it ebbs and flows. It's not always at that percentage. And we never would want it to grow so large and not be able to spend it down. This simply allows us to take a vote to determine whether to spend that down.
Councilor Brown or Councilor Aguilar, I don't know if you've been able to find that language within the document.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Councilor Rolfing?
I'm wondering if Councilor Brown and Aguilar would mind if we came up with some different wording that would be, that would accomplish exactly the same thing, but would be maybe a little more understandable, and that we would get it done in the month of December.
I don't believe that it's just it's Vernon and myself that it came out of committee with a 4-0 vote.
I understand that, but I also in the feeling of not necessarily compromise, but of making sure that people feel like they can live with this, that the same thing can be accomplished with some different language, accomplishing the same thing. Would that be an appropriate thing to say?
Would we have the benefit of the use of the city attorney's office and the finance personnel?
Well, I would certainly hope so, seeing as how they've indicated to us that they are part of our at our beck and call, if you will. Mr. Fifley? Would you be willing to work on that?
Please.
Absolutely, Councilor Rolfing, and I just want to speak on behalf of Gary Caldwell. For personal reasons, he could not be here tonight, and I assure you, if he didn't have some exigent circumstances, he would have been here tonight to explain further, and he would have been at the fiscal committee today.
Well,
we'd be very happy to work with you.
It makes no difference, where the blame or whatever, the good or the bad or the whatever is there. The intent here is to make sure that that our reserves are safe and secure, number one, and that the council has oversight, so to speak, on this, along with the mayor, so that we have a check and balance here. And the mayor is shaking his head here saying, yes, he agrees. So let's come up with some wording here that I agree with, and I voted for this in fiscal committee, and I agree with it 100%. Well, let's just come up with some wording that all of us can live with at this point, and let's do it. Maybe if we can even put a hammer on it, let's do it for. Well, should we say the 20th? Have it done by the 20th? Is that too what, Deborah? Or we don't have a meeting that day?
I was going to suggest you just do it next Monday if you're going to wait at all, although again, just pointing out, this was actually drafted by the council city attorney at the time in 2007.
I understand that, but we're not agreeing on the wording at this point, so let's come up with some wording that we can agree with, and then we can live with it. So let's have it done by next week.
Councilor Mott.
As the maker of the motion that is on the table right now, I want to express my extreme displeasure in the way that we have handled this committee proceeding then. I mean, if we have this kind of confusion over something that's been in committee for 3.5 months, we have let people down, and we have not done our jobs. We only ask the members of the council to be here on Monday nights. You know, yes, we have other things we do, and we have jobs, and we have lives, and we get phone calls, and all of those things. But we only ask you to be here and to pay attention to these committee things. And we have said previously that we want the committees to work more effectively. This is proof of why. This has been through committee for 3.5 months, and now you haven't asked me yet, but you want that motion off the table after it's been in committee for 3.5 months and passed 4-0 in committee. I'm disappointed.
And we've also canceled a few of our meetings along those times, a couple of them in that time, so.
Don't give me excuses. Let's
I
treat
understand.
this committee process with the seriousness that it should be treated with. And if it passes 4-0, it passes 4-0.
I'm going to make a motion to amend the main motion by deleting the following language. In the fourth paragraph, whereas pursuant to the city's home rule charter, the council may provide for the form in which the mayor is to submit the budget proposal, and in the eighth paragraph, beginning with 2008.
Second that.
There's been a motion by Councilor Brown, seconded by Councilor Jamison, and I'll let you read that.
We've got a motion to amend in the fourth paragraph by deleting the following language. In the fourth paragraph, whereas pursuant to the city's home rule charter, the council may provide for the form in which the mayor is to submit a budget proposal, and in the eighth paragraph, the words beginning with 2008. So we are now voting on the motion to amend by deleting that terminology.
Yes, Councilor Rolfing.
Could I ask that the entire ordinance be read with the amendment?
I'll do it if you will. And Deborah Owen, since the title has been read, I'll just continue on with the whereas. Whereas the Home Rule Charter of the City of Sioux Falls authorizes the council to appropriate city funds and set city policy, and whereas the City Council desires adequate reserves to cash flow city government and meet any emergencies, and whereas the City Council desires an ongoing plan for a fiscally sound budget, and whereas the City Council expects potential new revenue streams to be approved prior to final adoption of the budget. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, that the city establish as a goal that it maintain a minimum unrestricted cash balance at the end of each calendar month equal to 11% of the general fund budget for that fiscal year, and a general fund unreserved fund balance as of December 31st for each fiscal year equal to 25% of the general fund budget for that fiscal year. If the unrestricted cash reserves at any month end or the general fund unreserved balance as of December 31st shall fall below these thresholds, the mayor shall, as soon as practical, therefore, present the council with an explanation and a plan for replenishing the unrestricted cash balance or general fund reserve balance to the targeted threshold, and be it further resolved that the city establish as a goal that the mayor's proposed general fund budget for each fiscal year provide for balance between projected revenues and expected expenditures without the use of general fund unreserved fund balances, and that the elected and appointed officials of the city use their best efforts and mutual cooperation to accomplish that goal. if a mayor believes that the financial condition or needs of the city require the use of funds from general fund unreserved fund balances in any proposed budget, such budget proposal shall include a statement of the reasons which the mayor believes justify the use of the general fund unreserved funds, and be it further resolved that it be established as the policy of the council that if a mayor's proposed general fund operation budget includes projected revenues from increases in fees, charges, taxes, or other similar sources that require council approval, the ordinance or ordinance amendment authorizing such increase should be presented to and approved by the council prior to the submission of the proposed budget. Note, that's your section that everybody wanted to know where it was about the council having prior proposal approval. Further, be it further resolved that it be established as a policy of the council that enterprise accounts of the city relating to water, water reclamation, sanitary landfill, and the city electric utility should cover the true cost for that enterprise, including operation, maintenance, periodic capital replacement, new capital acquisitions and improvements, debt service requirements, and other costs deemed necessary. And again, that the last paragraph is where you see the council approval is required before the submission of the budget to the council is complete. Thank you.
Now we have
Councilor Rolfing, did that answer your question?
More importantly, did it answer yours?
Is that a question of me?
Yes.
I am as confused now as I was before, and I am not alone. And as the chief executive officer of this company, or as the mayor in this form of government, I would expect that you'd want at least me to at least have some understanding of it, as well as my department heads to have some understanding of it, as well as I think it would be critical to have the city council have a good confidence level on it before they vote, versus having the city clerk identify where in the document it does outline what it is, I guess, that we're trying to get across. And I'm not trying to be difficult. I fully respect the intent of trying to control the use of reserve funds, and I fully respect the intent that we don't want to spend them needlessly. I do. That's why last week, as well as today, I asked the city council to let's find the right language so that it's self-explanatory to all of us, because it's such an important thing. I reached out last week, I reached out again today, and instead we're getting it pushed even faster, which really concerns me. And thanks for asking me the question, Councilor Rolfing. Hearing no further discussion, there is an amended motion, and we're not going to, well,
we're voting on the amendment.
let's vote on the amendment, shall we? I think that's a good idea. Let's vote on the amendment, and let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Entman?
No.
Erpenbach?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
Litz?
No.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Aguilar?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
That is passed 6-2.
Now we
We now have a amended main motion. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Councilor Jameson.
I hate to even ask, but, when these come through the city attorney, certainly the city attorney needs to have an understanding of each item and the implications of such, if passed by us. I dare to ask if there's a comment that the city attorney could weigh in on regarding this amended motion, amended resolution.
Counselor Jameson, you're asking for the opinion of Mr. Fife. Is that
Yes.
correct? Thank you.
Yes. Counselor Jameson, my opinion based on the reading of this, and I just gave away my copy, so I don't have it in front of me again, but my reading of it is that it is establishing goals, and would be the goal that we maintain a certain unrestricted cash balance at the end of each calendar month of 11%, and then at the end of the year of 25%. And it's my understanding that there are more practical concerns regarding the passage of this resolution in terms of how it may affect the ebb and flow of city finances for any given month in terms of peaks and valleys, and that there are concerns from the finance department that it may create a larger unreserved cash balance than maybe it's intended to. Again, Gary Caldwell was involved in the initial drafting, but in talking with Gary, it's my understanding that he allowed the two CPAs that were on the council at the time, along with Gene Rowenhorst, to basically come up with the verbiage, so to speak. And again, I would have had Gary here, but for personal reasons, he just could not be here today, and I apologize for that, but it's circumstances beyond his control. But it's my understanding that their goals, as stated, and our office certainly tried back almost 4 years ago to put what the fiscal committee wanted into words with quite a bit of assistance from the CPAs that were on the city council at the time. So that's my understanding of it. But again, I'm deferring in terms of, the legal part of it. Certainly the amendment took care of the concerns that I had from a purely legal standpoint. But again, in terms of understanding, I'm council's attorney, I'm also the mayor's attorney, and I think if there is, as a former summa cum laude graduate in English, if there are concerns about understanding and interpretation, I would hope those would be addressed with a deferral rather than with the passage tonight.
Hearing no further discussion, could we have a vote on the amended main motion?
Councilmember Entenmann.
No.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Litz.
No.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
That is passed 6-2. Item number 17.
Item number 17 is a report of November 29th, 2010, notice of transfer of appropriations within major organizational units.
Councilor Mbach?
Mr. Mayor, I thought about this today as I was considering this, and I hope that I'm not beating a dead horse with this, but it's so important for me to have citizens understand that we are only accepting a report at this time, and that the specific information on that report is available on SiouxFalls.org. So I apologize for saying it every time we do this, but it's important to me. Thank you.
Any further discussion tonight, City Council? Thank you very much for your service. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So a motion by Councilor Erpenbach, seconded by Councilor Entenmann. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Entenmann.
Yes.
Erpenbach.
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
Litz.
Yes.
Rolfing.
Yes.
Aguilar.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Thank you, City Council. That is passed 8-0, and thank you, citizens of Sioux Falls. Have a good night. This meeting is adjourned.
Mayor, are you going to sign it?